Hey, you guys, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. So, right before I was getting ready to go live, I pulled my earring out as I was playing with my hair. Yesterday, I actually noticed that on my live yesterday, the whole live stream, I had one earring in one ear. So wild. I went back and watched the live stream and I was like, wow, I'm only wearing one earring. And then I felt my ears, and sure enough, one earring. So, when this one fell out, I was like, yeah, I need to grab that and put the earring back in my ear. Anyways, you guys, so we're going to be talking about Tyler Baltierra from Teen Mom. Last night, Tyler went live on his Instagram where he revealed so much information regarding Brandon and Teresa. He talked about the adoption. He talked about Carly. After he gave like the update as to kind of like where their relationship was, what he thinks led to this relationship, he then answered questions from the people on the live stream. And these questions ranged anywhere from, do you think you're OF, your OnlyFans, is a part of the reason why Brandon and Teresa, cut off contact. Do you think that Carly is the one that doesn't want any communication with y'all, and Teresa is just honoring her wishes? What if Brandon and Teresa were to get a restraining order on y'all? Or what if they were to send you a cease and desist? Tyler answers all of these questions. This IG Live is absolutely the most in depth I have ever heard Tyler go into the adoption of Brandon and Teresa and all of that. So let's get into it, you guys. As y'all all know, Kate and Tyler from Teen Mom, they were the first couple on the show to put their child up for adoption. Their biological daughter, Carly, is now 15 years old. Carly was adopted by a very Christian conservative family. Her parents, sometimes I will refer to Carly's parents as adoptive parents. It's not to be disrespectful. It's just to differentiate as to who I'm talking about. If I say Carly's parents, one may assume that I'm talking about Tyler and Kate. So I try to say, and it's not to be disrespectful, those are her parents, 1,000%. But it's only so people kind of need, know who I'm talking about. I will try to call Kate and Tyler her bio parents and Brandon and Teresa her adoptive parents. But yeah, her adoptive parents are Brandon and Teresa. Initially, after the adoption, Kate and Tyler were able to stay in contact with Brandon and Teresa. They had annual visits. But once Carly turned 4, the visits were no longer annual, and Brandon and Teresa stopped communicating with them as much. And I know if you keep up with this, you know that we saw this contract where it says after the age of 5, it's up to Brandon and Teresa. But in this interview or in this live stream, Tyler says on the 5th annual visit, when they reached out, they were shut down. So I'm wondering, okay, it's up until the age of 5. So age of 5, last annual visit, and then after that they can choose, or it stops at 4, and at age 5, it's up to Brandon and Teresa's discretion. I don't know. You may remember a couple of episodes of Teen Mom where Kate and Tyler voiced their frustration over Brandon and Teresa not wanting them to talk about Carly, not wanting them to share pictures about Carly. After that, like after their wedding and stuff, Kate and Tyler would actually sit down with Dawn, the adoption counselor, to voice their frustration over Brandon and Teresa not responding to their messages and no longer, allowing these annual visits. It was at that meeting with Dawn that Kate and Tyler, they were presented with a contract that they signed with Brandon and Teresa outlining the terms of their adoption agreement. Now, in this Instagram Live, Tyler is going to talk about that meeting, how that was the first time that him and Kate saw that contract since they signed it when they were 16 years old. And how he and Kate had already made a verbal agreement with Brandon and Teresa. So they took them in good faith that what was in the contract was what they had verbally agreed with them. So when they signed the contract, they were 16 years old. They just believed it was what they verbally agreed to. So they just signed it. They did not read it. They didn't read, the contract. They just signed it. Because they thought that it was going to be everything that they had verbally agreed to, just transferred to paper. He basically did not know that anything was added and that it was going to be up until the age of 5 and then at their discretion. Anyways, recently, Brandon and Teresa blocked Caitlin from any contact with Carly and them, which led Caitlin to speak out publicly on her Instagram page. Caitlin showed text messages that she had sent to Teresa's phone for Carly to give Carly updates on their lives. We could see that no one responded to the messages. A lot of people felt that these messages were crossing a boundary, that it was too much. Tyler talks in his IG Live about how that's what they were told to do, that they were always encouraged, give updates, let Carly know what's going on with your lives. So that's why they felt that even after, and he says, Teresa actually told Kate, we don't want to talk anymore. But Kate was still encouraged, we'll continue to send updates because that's what they were just encouraged to do. Kate added her feelings when she showed us these messages. She put up a few comments, basically just saying that she doesn't feel that it's right that the biological parents have absolutely no say when it comes to the biological child, that they can't speak out about their feelings about the situation without being accused of bashing the adoptive parents. She said that what she's doing is not bashing Brandon and Teresa. In fact, she is grateful that they love Carly and that they have taken care of Carly, and she will always support Carly in loving her parents. But she is just showing the harsh reality of adoption from their side of the coin, and that she is going to keep speaking out so Carly will see that they never gave up, and that it was Brandon and Teresa that shut them out and not them no longer being concerned with Carly and no longer reaching out to Carly, that it was Brandon and Teresa. That they didn't forget about her, basically. Kate also said that she feels Brandon and Teresa do feel threatened because Carly, at some of the last visits, Carly would say things like, why don't y'all see me more? Why don't we get together more? Why can't we see each other more? Why don't y'all just fly in for the weekend to come see me? And they didn't really know how to answer those questions. The post that Caitlin put up is in my other video, my last video. Well, not the live stream that I put up with Tyler, but another video that I put up where we talk about Kate doing this. Kate speaking out. It's in that video, everything that she said, as well as many other Teen Mom pages. Have them up. Teen Mom Fans over on Instagram has all of Kate's comments up. I don't think Kate has it up anymore. But if you do want to see everything that she said, it's out there. Just Google it. You'll find it. Now, after Kate posted those messages and her comments with those messages, she definitely got some support, but she mainly got a lot of backlash, which led to Tyler speaking out. So we're going to listen to some of Tyler's live stream. His live stream he actually did 2 live streams. I have the last live stream, and it was an hour long. So we're going to go over some of the most interesting things that he had to say. In the beginning of the live, he said that there's a lot of things that people don't know and that there's a lot of misconceptions regarding him and Kate crossing boundaries. He said that everyone is entitled to their opinion, and he feels like everybody's opinion is valid from their perspective. That's fine. But at the end of the day, this is the situation that they are in. So let's go ahead and let's listen, you guys.
I did want to say one thing though about the fact that Caitlin texting Teresa in regards to, what she posted after.
Wait, can you guys hear that? Let me make sure you guys can hear that. I know last time when I played something, y'all couldn't hear that, so I want to make sure y'all can hear it. Okay.
We're at. I did want to say one thing though about the fact that Caitlin texting Teresa in regards to, what she posted after Teresa said, we don't want to talk anymore. I don't really understand without an explanation, I don't really get how people can think that's okay, because like I said, this is for Carly. So what are we supposed to do when everything that we've been taught these last 15 years and how important communication and consistency and all that kind of stuff is? What are we supposed to do when you say, I don't want to talk to you anymore? Okay, well, I'm going to still try though. And you can call that crossing boundaries if you want. However, my opinion is I would consider crossing a boundary. A boundary would require me to say, hey, I don't like what you're doing, so I'm not talking anymore. I feel that you're, harassing me, whatever it is, like, to cut someone off without an explanation. I would love to know, in any relationship dynamic out there, for a relationship to continue and be okay, there has to be clear communication and understanding, right? I can't fix, mend, or change anything that you're not okay with if you don't explain to me why, for one, or how, because I don't know how if you don't tell me why. So it's kind of important for that transparency to be legit. And for all these years of trying to get that communication to happen naturally and just ebb and flow and be normal, it just hasn't happened. Which, you know, I think anyone who knows or has been in our situation can understand. It's almost like saying, I'm mad at you. And you're like, oh my God, really? You're mad? You hurt me. Oh, I hurt you. How did I hurt you? And you go, doesn't matter. It's like, wait a minute. Like, you know, like you have to communicate, and you have to communicate with authenticity.
Okay. So I'm going to stop right there really quickly. And I think taking to social media is the worst thing that they could do. Do I agree that communication is, I do agree that, but here's the thing. If they don't want a relationship with you because Carly doesn't want that relationship with you, then they can shut that relationship down. Do they owe you an explanation? If Carly says, no, you don't have to tell them anything, I don't care, then, you know, maybe not. Me personally, just from my standpoint and like how I do things in my life, and I'm big on communication. Like if my husband upsets me, I will be quiet while I'm upset. And then I try to communicate that with him, because how can he fix it if he doesn't know what he did to upset me? If Brandon and Teresa and Carly ever feel like they want to have a relationship with them, I do feel like communication is important. But Brandon and Teresa may feel like, well, we've communicated with you before. We told you guys don't do this and don't do that. Y'all continue to do it. So what's the point of us communicating with y'all if we tell y'all things and y'all don't continue to do it? You know what I'm saying? Like if they're like, don't talk publicly about Carly. But I also feel like you got Teen Mom over here. That's the whole reason they're on the show, because they got pregnant as teenagers. They went the adoption route. The show is following them from the standpoint of what it's like when you put your child up for adoption. Guaranteed they're being pushed to talk about the adoption and Carly from production, guaranteed. And that is their job. So you have to choose, like, you're being pushed to talk about it more than likely from the show, that is the sole purpose of them following you, is to see how you, 10 years later, you're dealing with the adoption and where that where it stands. But you got the parents who don't want it mentioned at all and don't want their daughter talked about. So you really have to choose, like, well, I'm on the show. I can either get off the show because that's the sole purpose of me being on the show, because this is what this is what her parents want. They don't want me talking about her. They don't want they don't want that. So you have to kind of make a decision. What's more important? You know, the money that you get from the show that takes care of your family, which you could get a job somewhere else to take care of your family. You might not make this much money, but you could get a job, no doubt, somewhere else, you know. So if they ever plan on having a relationship with them again, I do feel like they could have an open line of communication and just tell them, but they may also feel like we've done that and they did not listen. So it's just so hard to know what they're feeling because we don't know what they're feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's just so hard. And I'm like torn between this. I really am. Like for the most part, I lean one way, but I also have like thoughts on the other side. You know what I'm saying?
And it's funny because I will say the clear communication and clarification would have stopped all of this.
Oh, and two, I skipped a part where he basically talks about, you know, I can't read their minds. So if something bothers you, it's important to communicate that to me so I have a chance to fix it. So he does say that. I skipped over that part, but let's continue.
None of this would be necessary if we had that information. We wouldn't have to be doing any of this explanation or, you know, sharing anything, because you explained to us clearly, like an adult. Adults, we talk, right? We hear each other out. We explain our situation. We express our wants. And I think Teresa just saying, I don't want to talk to you anymore, is childish. I believe this. And yeah, maybe some people may say it's childish for us to, you know, continue to try. I don't agree with that. Because I don't care if it was any of my children. Will always try. I will always try. I don't care at all if I will always try. I'm a father, and I will always try, and I will keep trying until you say you're harming me, until you explain to me, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at. Like, you have to explain. And until you get an explanation, what am I supposed to do? Give up and just hope and pray that, you know, she comes and finds me one day? Well, that's what I'm preparing for. That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm sharing my story. That's why I'm using the platform. So when she does get her own desire and freedom to seek information and get access, she'll have it. I'll be right here. Here I am.
So, like, once again, I just kind of feel like maybe if they are over it, just send a text, which they did. They sent a text saying, we're not going to talk anymore. We're not talking anymore. I guess maybe after Kate and Tyler does this, maybe they could send another message a little bit clearer saying we are done. When Carly gets the age of 18, if she wants to reach out, she will reach out. But at this point, we are not speaking to you guys anymore. Just set it, let them know. Like, I mean, do they have to? I guess they don't have to. Because even if they tell them that, will Kate and Tyler continue to talk about it? Possibly. So it's just like there's like a no-win situation here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And see, Lulu, I read on Reddit, I think it was. I read somewhere that their other child that was adopted, that they did the same thing to their son's bio mom, that they cut her off. But Tyler said here that that's not the case, that they actually have. So Brandon and Teresa adopted a son years later. And Tyler said they actually have a close relationship with their son's bio mom, but not them. So it really makes me wonder, like, well, what? It's obviously something on y'all's side that they don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see. So I skipped a part. In the part that I skipped, he basically talks about how he can't imagine how it must feel to not be able to give birth and to bring, you know, a child into this world. You have to take the route of adoption, and his heart hurts for people in that position that can't have a child, you know, on their own, and they have to take the route for adoption. But if you have a child through adoption, he says you have a duty to learn and educate yourself about the benefits of the child having an open line of communication with the bio parents. And he says he doesn't think that denying the child access to her biological parents just because you feel like it makes sense. So that's what he said. He basically just said, you know, if you can't have kids and you got to go through adoption, you really need to educate yourself on the pros and cons of the adoptee, you know, not being allowed to have a relationship with the biological parents. And if you are not allowing that just because your own feelings, then that doesn't make sense to him, is what he said. All right, let's see.
Let's see. Could it be possible that your OF has made them shy away? Listen, here's the thing about the OnlyFans or OF, or don't get me in trouble on Instagram. I'm not used to this. So I don't know the lingo, what's allowed, what's not. This was happening like years, way, them pulling back and restricting and not having visits every year. This was happening way, way, way before Kate started that account. So that's all I can say, right? You put the puzzle pieces together. Nothing's changed from then to now besides officially cutting off. So this has been happening way before OF was even invented or even a thing. So is that a possibility? Sure, it's a possibility. But the funny thing about that possibility is that it wasn't a requirement. Me and Kate, we shut it down. Fine. Okay, if that's what it is, if that's the only thing that you have on me, fine, done. Get rid of it. We had fun for a year, made a crap ton of money from it. Cool. it was done. However, getting rid of it and shutting it down is not a result of that's what the problem was. It's a result of the possibility of that being a problem. However, I don't believe that is wrong. I don't believe people who are OnlyFans are wrong.
Okay, so he's basically asked about the OnlyFans, and he says, the problem started way before the OnlyFans. It started after her, right before the fifth visit for her, the fifth annual visit. But he says still, he doesn't believe that it's wrong. He says it's a platform for 18 years and older. He then poses the question to his audience. Basically, so do you believe that people in that line of work are not worthy of being parents because that's what they do? He says, so the Calvin Klein model on the billboard at Times Square, should he not be allowed to be a dad? What about Pamela Anderson? She had that X tape that everybody watched back in the 90s or something. Did she not deserve to be a mom because of that? And he basically said he feels that he basically said if you feel that someone in that line of work doesn't deserve to be a parent because that's the work that they do, then that's just an opposition of morals and values, but it doesn't make that person a demon. He says, my OnlyFans, I don't think it's wrong. It's 18 plus platform. I don't see a problem with it. But even if somebody does see a problem with it, that just means we have opposing values and morals. It doesn't make me a demon. And if you feel like I don't deserve to be a dad because of that, then that's your belief, but it's not my belief. I do feel like kids are embarrassed by things like that, though. I really do. I really do feel like if you have a child going to school and their parent is famous, here's the thing. If your parent's not famous and nobody knows your parent, I guess maybe it's not as bad. But if everybody knows your parent and the fact that you join OnlyFans is published on every media outlet out there, so she can find out, her fans may know, and I definitely think it's something that could cause a problem for her. It can upset her. It can be embarrassing for her. And it might not even be, oh, well, I don't agree with that type of work. It's just, well, now all of my friends know that my dad is showing his dingaling to the world for $2.99. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just may be like, as you being my biological parents, knowing that these pictures are out there, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing, He then talks about his opinions of Farrah because someone says, well, now that you do OnlyFans, and the fact that you gave Farrah such a hard time when she did it, have your opinions changed of Farrah? And he said his opinions have changed a little bit, but he said what Farrah did was a little different. He said she lied about a video that was very produced. She lied, saying that it was leaked. She used the Teen Mom name in the title of the video and then signed a deal with a corn company to make a big profit off of it or whatever. So he says he does believe that it was a little different. He's not lying about what he's doing. He's not, he's being forthright. It's not a whole X tape. But he did say that Farrah was not fired from Teen Mom over the video. She was fired basically because she was really mean to people. But he does say that he does not believe that Farrah should have been bullied or attacked over the video. And he is sorry for the things that he said about Farrah after everything happened. So yeah. All right, let's jump over to, and I did not see the comment, but I saw people responding to it about Tyler being possibly gay. I saw my mod saying, well, what does it matter if he was gay? It shouldn't be brought up, which I agree. It shouldn't matter, but Brandon and Teresa are very conservative Christians. So would I be shocked if they, when Kate's brother Nicholas went on YouTube and said, oh, Tyler has a secret relationship with this person, this singer. He goes out of town to be with him, and Kate's running around trying to find him. Yeah, he's definitely gay, whatever. If Brandon and Teresa heard that, do I feel like it could have some Do I feel like that could be some reason why maybe they also kind of possibly should it matter? No, but do I think it could be a point of contention for them? For them, possibly. So I know normally, like when we cover people and they're like, are they gay? Are they bi? It's like, what does it matter? Who cares? But in this instance, when we're asking, do you think Brandon and Teresa may have distanced themselves because they think Tyler's gay? I do think that could be a possibility. Would it be right in them? No. But I do possible. It could be just a wide variety of things. All right, let's continue.
Going crazy. Did you ever feel a bond with Brandon and Teresa? I thought I did as a kid. I mean, I was 16, right? I'm a child when all that happened. I thought I did until, we got further down the road until, we couldn't know their address and we didn't know their last name and we couldn't, that's when I started being like, oh, this is definitely more of a, professional exchange type of relationship. And it's not going to be like, heartfelt and authentic and fluid. So no, I thought I did, but as time went on, no.
So he says, that they thought it was a very like loving relationship, but when they realized they couldn't know their address or Carly's middle or last name, that's when they realized like, oh, this is definitely more transactional. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a business deal essentially. I know one thing that I read in that contract though is that Kate and Tyler had to update like Dawn if they moved or if anybody got really sick. But I guess that's kind of what it is with when you are putting your child up for adoption, you still have to give the agency information about you, but you are still not at liberty to get the same information from them. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, the agency and Brandon and Teresa can know Kate and Tyler's address, and if they move, they have to update the agency. And if anybody gets really sick, gets an illness, like I guess like cancer or something like that, they have to let Dawn know, and Dawn can let Brandon and Teresa know. But it doesn't go the other way. But I guess that's just a part of it, you don't get access to that kind of information. Even though you have to give that information, you don't get that information. And at 16 years old, I don't think they really realize that. And so Brandon, Kate and Tyler had a guardian ad litem, but it was appointed to them at court when they went to court. So when they had all these meetings with Dawn and with Brandon and Teresa, they did not have the guardian ad litem yet. It was appointed to them when they went and they, and the thing about it is it wasn't even appointed to them for Brandon and Teresa to adopt Carly. It was appointed to them for them to sign over their rights, their parental rights, for them to sign their rights over or just release themselves of any rights to Carly. When they went to court to do that, they were appointed a guardian ad litem. I feel like a guardian ad litem should have been appointed to them the first time they met with Dawn, the first time they went into an adoption agency. Someone on their behalf from the very beginning, All right, let's see. All right, so after this, I skip over where he talks a little bit more about Farrah, saying that Farrah doesn't like him. Farrah thinks that he's abrasive, but that's fine. He says he kind of is abrasive. He really thinks it's just kind of like cultural differences. Farrah was raised, I think he said in the South, and he was not, so they're just like a little different. Not a big deal, So he talks a little bit more about Farrah. The whole video is up on my channel. If you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, we're just kind of going through the highlights.
Perfect. How did cutting ties become official? Did they tell you no more contact at all? They said, we don't want to talk to you anymore, was the first initial thing. And that's when Kate was like, whoa, well, can we please jump on a phone call? Can we talk about this? What do you mean? No response. And that's when, we were kind of like in limbo a little bit. And I was like, well, all you can do is keep trying. So if you're not going to talk to us.
Oh yeah, and Tyler did say if they were to say it's your OnlyFans, he said he would cut it off. He said he would get rid of it. He said he doesn't believe, morally, he doesn't think that it's wrong. But if they were to say this is the reason we want nothing to do with you, he would say it was fun while it lasted, made a bunch of money. He would get rid of it for what it's worth.
Us, we at least have to try to send these updates to Carly like we're supposed to, and like everyone, like how we're supposed to, and what's good for her, and just hope and pray that you're going to show it to her. I mean, so once we were sending those updates, to Carly personally, to Teresa's phone, and then it kept saying, not delivered, and then we got confirmed that, she officially blocked us. So now we know for a fact she's not getting these updates, and now we just stopped. Obviously, once you're blocked, you're blocked.
Yeah. So at that point, why keep reaching out? Once they're blocked or whatever. But that's how they kind of figured it out. She told them we don't want to talk. They basically, from all the information that they've gotten from adoptees, they were like, no, just keep reaching out. Don't say anything rude or nasty, but just keep reaching out. So Carly will see that you guys are not giving up. But then once they got blocked, it was obviously like, well, no point in sending anything at this point, All right, so we're gonna skip over a little bit. What we're gonna skip over is basically someone in the comments saying, "Do you think Teresa had a problem with your music?" Tyler laughs hysterically, and it was like, possibly, but I think a lot of people had a problem with my music, so he found the humor in that. All right.
Do I think that Teresa is scared Carly will want to be a bigger part of y'all's lives in the future? I think maybe she does have fear about that. And I will say, in her defense, I think that fear is valid. I think that it's sad. Like, that's sad to think about, because it's interesting how Teresa's fear of that compared to our fear that she will never want to have a bigger part of our lives. It's pretty interesting that different sides of the spectrum, but it's all based off of fear. And I've done so much inner work and through therapy and stuff, and just soul work and shadow work, that I have completely let go of fear. I have no fear. There is no fear. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to justify. I don't allow fear in my life. I just don't, and I won't. It just sucks the energy out of everything. And it's just another form of anxiety. And anxiety is just trying to rob you of the now. And I refuse to let something rob me of the now.
I don't know what shadow work is. Yeah, I'm not sure what shadow work is. We're gonna skip over someone asking how Nova reacted to the news that they have been cut off from Carly, and he said they haven't told Nova yet that the next time Nova asks to FaceTime Carly, he's like, we'll have to tell her. He was like, because Nova does ask to FaceTime Carly, and when she does, we reach out and we say, hey, can Nova FaceTime Carly? He said, not us, just Nova. Sometimes they let her, sometimes they don't. But next time she asks to FaceTime Carly, we'll have to let her know, because obviously they're not going to be able to FaceTime Carly because they're blocked.
Let's see. Do you guys think that you guys will ever not be fighting about this? And I'm sorry you guys have to go through this. Listen, I don't believe that we're fighting now. I do not have the desire to fight anyone. I actually refuse to even get into a battle or a fight. This is not a fight. I will not fight. It's not worth it for me. No. So will we ever not have oppositional beliefs? No, we'll always have oppositional beliefs. And I think as we express and share more things, you'll understand that that's going to have that has a huge part to play in why this is happening. Very religious conservative versus very not. So, I mean, that's just where we're at. Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm glad these questions are happening. All
right. So, he does right here when I cut it off. He basically has some questions that he said he doesn't read them, but he basically says, I can't answer those because I don't want to exploit how Carly feels. Which kind of makes me wonder if they may have, maybe Carly has told him things in confidence that he knows he can't repeat, because then Brandon and Teresa would know that Carly told him those things. Yeah. So someone asked about Dawn, like, how do you feel about Dawn? What's her stance on all of this? And he says that he really hates when he sees Dawn getting hate because he feels like they would have not gotten any visits with Carly after the age of 4. He said that Dawn has been a really big advocate for them, which, in my opinion, I definitely think Dawn was not transparent with them. I think Dawn's biggest mission was to get the adoption complete because, well, you have satisfied customers who will um, uh, give you good reviews on your, about the adoption agency and possibly refer people to your agency. You're going to make money. I don't think Dawn's first concern was the 2 16-year-olds. I definitely think it was, having the adoption process and make sure it went through. Um, but he says that she's been a really big advocate for them, that she mediated between them and Brandon and Teresa when he didn't even know that they needed mediation. Like he thought things were fine. And come to find out, like, you know, Dawn was like keeping in touch with Brandon and Teresa, like on behalf of them to make sure that Brandon and Teresa did not just like cut them off. He also said that Dawn understands the importance of having access and communication for Carly's sake. He says Dawn has contributed so much to keeping Brandon and Teresa having that open line of communication with Kate and Tyler that it would have stopped years ago if it wasn't for her. So
Oh, perfect question. What was the original agreement with Teresa and Brandon? So after, semi-open, going to open, the agreement was face-to-face visits every year with pictures and all that, updates and letters and all that stuff in between. And that was the agreement. However, I think they aired this in an episode, but we signed this agreement as children, right? And I guess not really understanding the fine print. But Dawn showed us in the contract, the agreement saying, oh, yearly annual face-to-face visits up until year 5. And when me and Kate, when she like pointed that out to us when we were way older, we were like, whoa, what? Like, I mean, what? Like up until 5, then what happens after 5? Like we just never expected that to ever happen. Who does visits annual and having this mutual agreement? And we mentioned this throughout the years. Oh, can't wait for next year's visit. Can't wait for next year's visit. I love that we have visits every year. This is going to be so great. Never mentioned, oh, well, you guys know it's only up until year 5. That was never communicated to us. It's almost like, and this is my opinion, it's almost like Teresa didn't want to say it out loud. So that way, when it got to year 5, we'll remind them of the contract. Let them see. And it's weird because like, whoa. I mean, for one, we didn't read all the we talked about it in person, so I didn't feel the need to read all the little minor details like that. So it was shocking. When Dawn, we were like, whoa, like what? First off, and let me just get this out there. We were children, minor children, signing this in good faith piece of paper. We were more or less going off of the verbal agreement we had between each other. So that was the original agreement. Yeah. But like I said, it was very misled up until that happened, because then all of a sudden it all made sense. When Dawn pointed that detail out, which was the first time we ever saw that agreement since we signed it, and it said up until the year 5, and then it's the discretion of the parents, we were just like, whoa, like why was that not talked about at all between us in person and all the conversations we were having? We were lovey-dovey. Oh my God, this is great. Like, why would you not say anything? Like, what? It's like they relied on that in good faith piece of paper contract that we signed when we were children to do all the explaining for them. That's weird to me. We don't operate that way up here in Michigan. We speak. We say, hey, can't wait for next year's visit. Well, next year is 5, and so it's up to us. That never happened. So anyway, that was the original agreement. If that answers your question. Don't want to go too far and keep rambling on.
Okay, so I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like putting myself at 16 years old, if I am introduced to an adoption agency and we verbalize an agreement, this is what it's going to be. Oh yeah, that's fine. Could I see myself signing a contract? Just like sitting there talking to everybody, signing it, not really looking over it. Yeah, because I'm an idiot. At 16 years old, I could see myself doing it. Like I always say, with age comes wisdom. Uh, I don't know how many times you hear people even older than 16 years old signing something they did not read, not reading the fine print. Happens a million times everywhere. He took it in good faith that what they agreed upon would be in the contract. This is if what he's saying is the truth. I see some people saying we don't, he's lying. But if what he's saying is the truth, in good faith, they believed that it would be what they said, and they didn't really read it, so they just signed it. That's kind of shady if that's what happened. What we do know is Brandon and Teresa did not want an open. They did not want an open adoption. They want it closed. But they were picked by Kate and Tyler. They met them. They all seemed to jive. They were probably really eager, that someone picked them, and they, okay, so they agreed on semi-open adoption. Later on, they changed it to an open adoption. And Brandon and Teresa, when they asked for it to be changed, they said they were okay with it. They asked Dawn, is this going to be okay for us to change it to an open adoption? And she said, yes, adoptive parents are prepared. We tell them that within 30 days, the biological parents can change the contract. So they were aware that this could be a possibility, and we've given them a lot of resources, to help them with this decision or whatever. So yes, they're aware of it. And he said Brandon and Teresa did seem to have an issue with it. So that's one thing that we never see in the show. In the show, we see semi-open. He says when they went at some time later, within the first 30 days, they changed it to an open adoption. I still don't know the difference between semi-open, open, whatever. It's all confusing. And it's still well, if it is open, why not sit down with Dawn, say it was supposed to be open, maybe hire an attorney? Just speaking about it so publicly, I just don't see the benefit in it. Ooh, I don't know, other than it helping another 15, 16, 17-year-old girl who is, looking into adoption to see your story and say, oh, well, they had a semi-open adoption, and look how hard it's been for them. And look how the birth parents, has shut them out for whatever reason. What if I do something when I get older that the birth parents don't agree with? The adoptive parents don't agree with, and they shut me out. That can happen. What if I don't have the money to take them to court to try to get, visitation or something? I do think it's important for other people contemplating adoption to see that side of it. But at the same time, it's literally you're putting this information out there at the expense of how it affects Carly. So it's just a very what do you do? Ugh. Hey, Night Runner. All right, so also I wonder when they put that in the contract about the first 5 years, I'm does it benefit a kid to see their biological parents once a year for the first 5 years and then just no more after that? Would she be confused? Would she wonder? Would she be curious? At 5, I doubt it's her saying, no, I don't want to go see them this summer. You know what I'm saying? So I do wonder how that could affect Carly. At 15, I can say it may be Carly. At 5, I'm questioning the annual visit after she turned 5, the summer after she turned 5. And B said it could be very, very, very beneficial. So, maybe it can. And honestly, I guess it just depends on the parents and if they're toxic for the child. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it can in some circumstances for sure. You have to, I don't know, just it's so confusing to me because I have, I'm all over the place when it comes to this situation, All right, let's see. 33:24.
So how is that legal? How did Dawn allow it to happen? Because nothing is legal, okay? That piece of paper, Bethany Christian Services contract, was literally typed up on Microsoft Word. Anyone, it's an agreement that I could make with anyone. Nothing was legally binding. Nothing. And that is also why I believe adoption needs reform. We need a different process that protects the best interests of the adoptee, not the insecurities of adoptive parents, not the wacky desires of birth parents. No, the adoptees. That is why there needs to be a different process. My suggestion, don't ever, ever go through an adoption agency, ever. You get a family lawyer, okay? If you want to place your child, you get a lawyer, okay? There is no difference. There's no difference in signing parental rights in someone adopting that child after that child has no, parents, than it is to have a permanent legal guardianship. That is all. It's all the same exact thing. The only difference between quote unquote abandoning the child with no parents and then having someone adopt that child in a permanent legal guardianship is that it protects. That's it. It protects the adoptee. It protects the adoptee's access. And that is why I don't agree with adoption agencies, which, by the way, Bethany Christian Services made $188 million last year in revenue.
That's wild.
But selling humans and human trafficking is illegal, correct? So, just let that digest and sit in. I don't agree with the adoption agency and the process that happens only in this country. Adoption does not operate like this in other countries. This is the only. So anyway, yeah.
That is wild. The fact that and this is if, I guess maybe I should have fact checked this, which probably, from what I read, and this is just me, they had the guardian ad litem at court to sign over their rights to Carly. That's legal. But I am reading a written agreement for an adoption in Michigan are not legally binding. This includes open adoption, which are also known as cooperative adoption agreements. Adoption facilitators in Michigan, such as attorneys, licensed adoption agencies, must provide interested parties with a written document that include the types of adoption they handle, the services they provide, eligibility requirements for adoptive families, the procedure used to select adoptive parents, the amount of contact between families after adoption finalized, a schedule of all fees. A foster family agreement is also not legally binding in Michigan. This means that if a foster family decides that they can no longer take care of the child, they can make that decision and the child will need to be placed elsewhere. Okay, Michigan law basics. Legally, adoption involves the termination of both parents' rights, the placement of a child with the prospective adoptive families, and finally, the creation of a new legal parent/child relationship. Adoption is a wonderful option for expanding a family and can take many forms, including private, open, closed, domestic agency, interstate, international, special needs, foster, single parent, grandparent, and step parent. The laws governing the process can be complex, but there's a lot of information available due to prospective adoptive parents. Michigan parents can seek assistance and information on the process and various types of adoption from experienced adoption attorneys, adoption agencies, local, national, and international. Let's see. Birth mothers seeking to place their child for adoption can choose an adoption attorney to advise them of their options. Michigan law regarding adoption and to develop an adoption plan to meet their requirements. This can include the kind of adoption that they are seeking, as well as addressing any medical coverage needs the birth mother might have. An experienced adoption attorney can create a plan that specifies an adoption that is completely private and closed with no contact after the baby is born, an open adoption with predetermined amounts and types of contact once the baby has been adopted, known as post-adoption contract agreement, or something in between. The adoption attorney will always typically be able to provide the birth mother with prospective adoptive family profiles from which she can choose to interview parents hoping to adopt. There's a lot of information out there, but from what I'm reading, and I could be wrong, I'm no attorney, but I've looked this up once before when we were talking about this as well, is them obviously going to court and signing their rights away is legal. Like that's 100% legal. That it's the contract that they signed with the adoption agency that is not legal. And I think he's correct there. I'm going to continue to do research into this just to make sure I'm not wrong in that. All right, let's see. 36. But at this point, who cares if it's legal or not? What you gonna do? Go take her? You ain't gonna go take her. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not gonna go take her. Who cares? Those are her parents, regardless. Bottom line, legal or not, they raised her. Those are her parents. You can't do nothing. I mean, what? All right, let's see.
Not fact-based. What do I think the reason for being blocked is? My personal opinion on the reason why they finally blocked us. I think this has been inevitable and coming for years based off of the experience we've had throughout this whole 15 years that we never really put on TV or even spoke about because we didn't want to shake anything up. I think the reason for being blocked, this is my personal opinion, is that I think Carly was getting older and asking more questions. Me and Kate specifically stated, and we didn't do this with any ill intentions. We were just talking at the end of our visit and we're like, hey, we would love, next time you guys don't have to fly all the way to Michigan and do all this stuff. We'll make it easy. We'll come to you next visit. It'll be way easier. You know what I mean? We'll meet in a park, whatever the case was. And Carl's like, that'd be awesome. Okay, great, whatever. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to, say exactly what, whatever. But that was what happened. And so my personal opinion from that information is that I believe Carly was asking questions. And I think Teresa, living the life that she lives and had a hard time answering those questions. And I want to say that's the difference between the way me and Kate live our lives and parent our children versus them. I have nothing to explain. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to justify because I'm open and honest about everything with my children. I don't believe in the, I don't believe in not giving my children the dignity to understand a concept if I can explain it the right way, whatever. So I think Carly was asking questions that she had a hard time answering. And when you live authentically, when you live in your truth and it's so authentic and so genuine and you're so in tune and you're aligned.
So he was basically saying that at their last meeting, she was asking those questions. Like, well, why don't y'all come see me? Like, why don't y'all come see me more? Why don't we see each other more? Why can't y'all fly out for the weekend to see me? He was saying at their last meeting. And I think that's what makes him think that it's not Carly's, because at their meetings, I think she's been super receptive of seeing them. I think that's what he is, saying. 30, okay.
No question's hard to answer. It's not, because you just let it. This is the reason. This is it. So yeah, I believe that. I think Carly was getting older, asking more questions, and Teresa, which required Teresa to have more explanations and more reasonings, which I think might have been difficult for her. However, this is just my opinion. I have no idea if this is the case. This is what I believe. You asked the question, I'm answering it. Whatever. Let's see.
All right, let's see. Okay. We'll continue. Hey, Pamela.
When Carly turns 18, do you think she will have more access to you both? That would be up to how she is raised from here on out. That is up to Brandon and Teresa and how they're raising her and how they are instilling her confidence in her natural intuition and desire and curiosity. If, I'm trying to think, 18, you're still, so 18, you're obviously graduated high school. Most kids aren't moved out by then. So unfortunately, and you can do research, please do research. Adoptees have this thing where they feel.
Well, okay. I think she was 12, maybe. Who asked that? How old was she at the last meeting? It was, well, you guys remember they had the meeting. After the meeting, Kate had a falling out with her mom. She's 15 now. I think she was like 12 or 13 when they had the last meeting, I think. Sorry.
Guilt for desiring a connection. to their bio family. They feel shameful for not being grateful enough for the family that they have to seek out their bio family. So unfortunately, a lot of adoptees kind of, walk on eggshells and not express their desire because they know from past experiences and how to survive in their specific family dynamic, to not ask questions and to be grateful that they're in the position they're in. So that all depends. I have a lot of faith that Carly has enough tenacity and curiosity and enough, vigor to break through those limitations if there are any. So I have faith that when she is 18, that she'll want more access with us. However, I don't expect it, and I don't think we're owed it. I think if Carly comes to us when she's 18 and says, listen, you guys totally messed me up. You guys are horrible. I don't want anything to do with you, whatever. As a birth parent, father, parental figure, regardless, it is my job to not fact check, not correct, and not tell her she's wrong. My job is to bow my head humbly with my hands folded and say, I'm so sorry. I love you, and I'll be here when/if you ever want to seek me out again. Here, I'll be here. And that's it. And whatever her decision is, I will respect it, period. So yeah. Let's see.
Right, Haley. Yeah, she's 15. Who knows? That's
Bear with me,
like,
guys.
we could be like, maybe it's Carly. Maybe Carly is embarrassed by this, and maybe Carly is upset that you are calling her parents out and that, you are turning the whole Teen Mom fandom against them. And then there might be the other side of the spectrum where it's not Carly and she knows nothing about it. We have no idea. I'm not adopted, so it's really, really hard for me to say. But I will say, I'm super close to my dad now, but there were a few years where I wasn't, because he got married to a younger girl and he was more involved with that side of the family. And my stepdad raised me. And if my bio dad would have went on social media talking about my stepdad, I would have been very upset. Would I have blocked him out of my life completely? Well, no, but I would have been bothered. I would have made sure my dad knew that's a line you don't cross with my stepdad. I love my stepdad. He raised me. He was there when you wasn't. Don't do it again. You know what I'm saying? So I can see it from that perspective. And that's not even nowhere near how serious it is with Carly, because Carly's parents had her from day one, where she only seen Kate and Tyler once a year or even less than that. So my dad, I lived with him until I was 7. And then from 7 until 17, he wasn't, there that much. So I could see being upset that your bio parents are, talking about the subject, which obviously is making some people upset at Brandon and Teresa. Let's continue.
There's a lot. Oh, good question. Great. Did you choose Brandon and Teresa, or how did it work out that Brandon and Teresa were who she was placed with? Well, we went to the adoption agency and we were given booklets. At each family that we're looking to adopt had kind of booklets with pictures of them and their mom and dads and their kind of family life and a little bit of how they lived. And so we got to Brandon and Teresa's book, and it was great. The big house, the white picket fence, the dog, the all of it looked amazing compared to you got to think we were 16-year-old kids in the middle of our own, unrealized traumatic chaos. So they looked like Leave It to Beaver. They were oh my God, I wish they would adopt us and just take us home with them. That's how amazing they looked.
I love that he was because their life was so traumatic, that when they saw this family with the white picket fence that looked to be so in love, he's like, man, I wish they would adopt me. Take us home with you. Take us home with you. I thought that kind of funny that he said that. Anyways, well, let's continue.
And then we watched a video that they did, and they were the only couple that made a video that had their house and they had their friends and all this stuff. And that's what sold it for us. We're like, oh my God, this video's great. Like she's telling, this is my dog Winston, this is my house, and these are my friends. And they had their friends on the video talking about why they believe that they would be great parents. And it was just awesome. And it was like, oh my God, yeah. So that's how we ended up choosing him. Let's see. Another question.
And also, a big factor in this will absolutely be Carly's personality. If Carly is one of those people that's like, hurt me once, shame on you, hurt me twice, shame on me. If she's and shuts it down, if she's one of those type of people, she may not want to come back to Kate and Tyler when she turns 18. But if she's somebody like me, who I give everybody a million chances, and you can hurt me a million times, and if your family or somebody close to me, after a while, I'm no longer mad, and I will come back to you. You know what I'm saying? That's just who I am. Me and my sister Stephanie, we are very much that way. My sister Flossie, absolutely not. Flossie, you get one or two chances with her, you screw her over once or twice, you're dead to her. So it really also, I feel like, depends on that, because I know people that they don't have their mom in their life. They don't care if they ever see their mom again. But I also know people that their mom has done them so dirty, and they may be upset for a week, but then after a week, they're back talking to their mom. Now it's like, I'm like Flossie. Yeah, I mean, so do you guys think that would be a big factor as well as really her personality? And if she is one of those people that is like just a very forgiving person and gives people chance after chance, or if she's one of those people that's like, no, you hurt me, I'm done with you. You hurt my family, you hurt my mom and dad, so I'm done with you. I think that's going to be a big factor as well. What do you guys think?
I hope you guys, am I boring you? I'm sorry. I don't do this a lot, so it's kind of
not breaking my plate, B. No.
It's interesting.
My granny was like that. Don't break your plate with her.
That's a good question. If you didn't have social media as a platform, how would you get this out to her so she could know later on, like you said? So me and Kate have already created a specific email for Carly that we will be sending updates to, and we have sent updates to and pictures and stuff like that. So that's one thing. But I have to say, if I didn't have a social media platform to get this to her, I don't know, honestly. I
think that's a really good idea, and I wanted to do that a while back, but I'm just too busy to do it. But he said they've made like an email account for Carly. Years ago, I seen this thing where, you can lose pictures and stuff like that, where somebody said they made an email account for each one of their children, and they would email pictures and letters to them. And then when their child became an adult, they gave the email to them. And I thought that's a great idea. And I was like, I'm going to do that, but I never got a chance to do it. But he said that they done that. That's awesome. It's not a Red Bull, but it is a coffee. Y'all, I have not had a Red Bull in like 2 weeks or something. It's been so long, but I have started drinking like half a coffee or a coffee every other day or so. Huge for me to not drink Red Bull. Huge.
I would have to just continue to try to reach out, even though you guys think that's like crossing. I would purposely cross the boundary and keep doing it and keep trying as a parent, as a birth father, as a father in general. That's my job for my children. I will do that. That's what I would do. And maybe that's wrong. I have no idea. I'm just being honest with you. That's how I would do it. And I would continue to do so. Because based off of all the adoptees that I talked to and their experiences, they tell me a lot all the time about how they wish that they could see that. They wish that that's all they would really want. Even if they were able to contact us back, they would love to know that we were trying, that birth parents were trying to get a connection. So that's what I would do, to be honest. So.
Also, he's saying that he speaks to a lot of adoptees who say that's what they needed. More than likely, he's talking to adoptees who their bio parents put them up for adoption and never came back around and had nothing to do with them. Because I do wonder, how would that affect a child to be placed for adoption and to know your parents just put you up for adoption and went on with their lives and never checked in on you, never cared, versus them caring and wanting to see you and wanting to reach out to you and reaching out to you. Like, He's talking to adoptees who say, no, that's what we wanted. That's what, we wished our parents would have did that. But I'm sure there's another side of a coin because people are so different. I'm sure there's some people that's like, I don't want to see how you went on with your life. I don't want to see how you went on to make tons of money and you had other kids and y'all had this fairy tale lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure there's because people are just so different.
That's a good question. Do you think the unknown is what is so painful for you right now that you don't know if Carly's okay and you don't know who is choosing the no contact, not knowing can be the hardest thing in the world? I don't know if I don't know if I'd call it painful, but it does create a lot of questions for me. I mean, the unknown is always disturbing. The unknown is always anxiety inducing. You know what I mean? Like having the unknown. And that's why I'm such a firm believer in open transparency and communication, regardless, without protecting feelings. Because, and I told Brian Teresa this many times, please don't protect me with a lie. I'd rather be hurt by the truth, because whoever's lying and whoever's conducting the lie is the only one the lie is for. It's not to protect anybody but the person conducting the lie. So, yeah. I think my wife's home from cheer practice.
All right, let's see. At some point he does answers the question like, what will you say to Carly when she first reaches out to y'all? When she turns 18, if she reaches out to y'all, what will you tell her? And he says, I will not tell her anything unless she asks questions of me. My job when she reaches out to me will be to listen so she can tell me how she feels and tell me what she has to say. And it's only if she asks questions of me and she wants to hear my side, then I will tell her.
I'm really glad this question got brought up, actually, because this was something that got brought up for the last visit. We never really said the word sisters. Carly is the one that said that word. Oh, my sisters. And so we didn't, and Brian Teresa didn't correct it. They didn't look at us and say, or nothing happened. It was very fluid. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. It's okay to say that they're sisters. I mean, Carly said they're sisters and everyone's laughing and loving. Oh yeah, they are. But then after the visit, we got in trouble. We got in trouble for saying the word sisters over and over again. I guess we said it a lot, too much for their liking. And then we got in trouble because we didn't know that was a problem. Kate got this blanket made for Carly's room where she put pictures of like Carly and Nova when she's a baby, and then like Veda, and she got pictures with all like the girl random collage, and then it had Sisters Forever or something on the blanket, and they were like, ugh. So yeah, that's that. So another good one. Do you know if Carly is aware of the show now that she's older? I can't see how she wouldn't. I really don't. I think she knows that her birth was on one episode, but I don't think she knows the grand scale of the whole TV show. Why? Because, like I said, they live very conservative lives. There's not like a public school and none of that stuff. It's like, she has like an old flip phone or whatever. Like it's not like so it's restricted. It's very limited. Yeah, that's what I know of. Oh yeah. Okay, that's a good question. There we go. Okay, this one. Did your parents have to sign anything, or just you two as children? How can a child sign a binding agreement? Great question. So my dad and Kate's mom did not give permission. They did not sign the required form so Kate could, hand over Carly to Brian and Teresa. So that's why we had to go to all hospital grounds, because the hospital couldn't be liable, and it really, they couldn't take that risk. And so we pretty much just had to do the exchange on a street corner. And when it got to the point where we had to sign over our rights in court 30 days after she was born, because Brian and Teresa had to wait in Michigan for 30 days for North Carolina to contact Michigan to do this whole, make sure everything's good. My dad and Kate's mom actually went to that court date, sat in the back, because it's a public courtroom, sat in the back and objected and tried filing or fighting to get custody of Carly after 30 days. Which the judge was like, dude, no. Like I look back at now, I know it's not funny, but I look back at now, I'm like, my dad with his mullet saying, I object. It's like, dude, get, obviously clearly using on crack. Like, no, dude, like, and so, yeah, so we had to get a guardian ad litem, they're called, which is a lawyer pretty much who agrees with our position to place this child as a minor. And that's what happened. I never really, okay. Are you worried that Teresa and Brandon may issue a restraining order or a cease and desist? I'm not worried about that. I actually welcome that legal battle. Please, I would love for that to be part of the story, if that's what you want. I don't want that, but if that is something that you would do, I think that'd be, and if you're so worried about harming Carly, that would be really harming, in my opinion, to go that far and that route, and to have that be a part of Carly's adoption story, that you went and did a cease and desist. You'd have to have pretty valid evidence of, to make that happen. I'm not saying it's not a possibility, but I would welcome that challenge. Yeah, I would welcome that, I guess, for sure, because that would be interesting to me. Oh, no, God. Will you now share pics of her? No, I would never. Oh my God, I would never do that. I would never do that. Like that would be, wow, that would be crazy. And I won't even be sharing new photos. I'll only be sharing photos of Cara that have already been approved by Brand Teresa going forward. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like no, I will not share any pics of her. That would be weird. Good question. Explain how you guys couldn't know their last name. It's hard to explain. Me and Kate were under the assumption that wasn't really going to be a problem. Like, we just kind of assumed that, like, oh, you know my last name, and I'm Tyler Baltierra, and that's Caitlin Lowell, and you know what I mean? Like, so we didn't know until we asked, oh, what's her name? And oh, it's going to be Carolyn. They didn't even tell us the middle name for years. And then that was it. And we're like, oh, well, it's her full name. We're not comfortable giving that information. We were just like, okay, like, I don't know. It's just, we were like, that's when we knew, like, oh, this is going to be interesting going forward. Like, so, yeah. Okay, do you think Dawn wasn't? Oh, I only have 50 seconds remaining, you guys. Oh my, I've been out here too long. Instagram says I gotta get off of here. Okay, real quick. Do you think Dawn wasn't totally transparent, like you were rushed? Did she get a commission check? I'm not entirely sure on the commission check. I know she gets a normal salary for being an adoption counselor for this agency. I do think Dawn was transparent as she could be. Yeah. Were we rushed? Yes. In the hospital, me and Kate both agree we felt very rushed. To like hurry up. So anyway.
Okay. So that was a lot. And there's so many aspects of this. Someone said, do I think this live is harming Carly? Well, according to Tyler, Carly does not really have access to this yet. This is if you believe him, that she has a flip phone, and that Tyler, Brandon and Teresa, she goes to private school. Brandon and Teresa really monitor her. Do I think my live in particular will harm her? No. If she has access to the internet, she will see this on some big outlet before she sees it on my little channel. It is all over the place at this point. If you literally Google the story, Tyler Baltierra, IG Live about Caitlin and Tyler, about Dawn and Teresa and Carly, it's going to be everywhere. So if I would have set this one out and not covered it, it's still there. If she has a possibility to see it, she's going to see it a million other ways. However, me talking about this, I try to look at every point of view from every angle, which is why I feel so torn about the situation, because I see like so many sides to this. And I'm like, I could see if she has this personality, how this is going to bother her. But if she has this personality, how maybe it won't affect her the way I thought this way. So I'm really trying to see things from like all sides, on every angle here. At the end of the day, the only thing that I'm really concerned about is not how anybody feels, not Caitlin and Tyler, not Brandon and Teresa. It's Carly. That's really the only, like, the most of the conversation that I have had is, well, Carly's this way, she might feel this way. if she's that way, she might feel this way. How is it? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, get off the fence, you'll get splintered. I mean, this is just to me. I'm not in the situation, so it's very hard to speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no one would cover it if Kate and Tyler didn't. That they wasn't on there talking about it. I mean, in the past like month, it's been like 3 or 4 different things. Hell, you think Dawn played them both? Yes. I know Tyler is like, I don't like to see Dawn get hate. If it wasn't for Dawn, we would not have seen Carly after the 4th annual visit. Like after she was 4 years old, we would have probably never seen her. He says that Dawn really advocated to keep the visits going, and she understood how important it was to kind of keep them in the picture, whatever. But yes, I believe that could be one of the reasons why Dawn advocated for them for so long, because she knows that she took advantage of them, because she knows she promised Kate and Tyler something that did not happen. And she knew there was a possibility it wouldn't happen when she promised them those things. Dawn promised them, this is your adoption. It's going to go that you want it to go. You are in the driver's seat of your adoption. If you want to open adoption, you do an open adoption. If you want a semi-open adoption, you do a semi-open adoption. If you want a closed adoption, that's what you do. It goes the way you want it. The fact that Dawn never said, I really need your parents to come with you. If your parents don't want to come with you, can you guys, get an attorney, or can the network get you an attorney? I don't know. I just really feel like, yes, I feel like Dawn took advantage of them. Yes. And I feel like maybe that's why she has advocated for them. That's just my opinion. Can Carly sue Caitlin and Tyler when she grows up for violating her privacy? You see, I don't know, because at the end of the day, like, it's still their story as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm trying to think. Somebody asked, what would you do if they send a cease and desist? And he said, I would welcome it. And I'm on this line of like, well, it is their story. Is it morally right knowing it could harm Carly? No. If you're speaking out and you know it could possibly harm your daughter, then you probably shouldn't do it. But it's something they went through as well, and it's their story as well. So could a judge tell them, you cannot talk about the adoption? You cannot talk about Carly no more? I don't know if a judge can tell you that. To me, that seems like it would be like impeding upon your First Amendment rights to say you can't talk about your own experience of getting pregnant at 16, putting the child up for adoption, thinking it was going to be an open adoption, and then getting shut out of the parents' lives and wondering how that affects the child. I don't think they can do that. But I'm not a lawyer either, so I really don't know. A restraining order. They could get a restraining order. Well, I know where I live, you have to prove that you need one. You have to get a restraining order where I live. You have to prove that someone has threatened to harm you. You cannot get restraining orders willy-nilly where I live. I've tried. I actually tried to get a restraining order when I was younger. This guy would not leave me alone. He broke in my house in the middle of the night, but he didn't threaten me. He was just sitting on the edge of my bed. When I opened my eyes, he was like this. And he was like, I miss you. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Got him to leave. Went and stayed with my friend. He snuck in my friend's house. Woke up and he's here but he never threatened me. He just harassed me and was completely in love with me. I have that effect. But anyways, I'm just kidding. But when I went to the police station, they said, well, has he threatened you? And I was like, well, no, but he literally came in my house. He came in my family's house, or my friend's house, sitting on the edge of the bed in my face. He's calling me a million times. Like, and this was years ago. I know when I had to get a restraining order on my older kid's dad because he did threaten me, that was hard. I actually had proof that he had made this threat to me, which he was going through mental health struggles at the time. And I was just kind of tired of dealing with me bearing the brunt of his mental health issues when he had a rough day, calling me and cussing me out for it. And then he made a threat. he texted the threat. When I went and I filed for a restraining order, they denied it, even though he did make a threat in a text message. I actually had to go to court and prove that I actually needed it. So I know you can't just go getting willy-nilly restraining orders just because somebody's talking about you. However, if they could somehow prove that this is damaging or like maybe I don't know. If somehow they could get a restraining order, then it would stop. Kate and Tyler would not be able to talk about Brandon and Teresa and Carly, could not reach out to them, and could not have third parties speak on their behalf or reach out to them on their behalf. So, yeah. um, hey, Brittany. Truly says, I think they are doing what they feel is in the best interest of their daughter and what they believe is in her best interest. Are you talking? You're talking about Brandon and Teresa? I'm 69 and worked in the PICU for over 25 years. The horrible things young parents do to their kids is irreversible. It's not reversible. Okay, yeah. It had to be hard on Kate and Tyler to see this perfect family and perfect house, and then go back home to what they had to live in. Yeah, yeah. Like you said, we wanted them to take us home. You know. Oh, thank you, Gail. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Crow says these two are out of touch with reality. I don't think this is going to end well for Tyler and Kate. Clearly, the parents want to keep as much as they can in private. The live was not a good idea, in my opinion. Yeah. Kate and Tyler are desensitized to overexposure in social media. That's a good comment. I have not thought about that, but I think you're right. I have not thought about that. They are absolutely, I agree. I think they are desensitized to overexposure and taking things to social media and talking so publicly about things, which is why to them, they probably don't see an issue with this. You know what I'm saying? Because that, like, this is what we always do. We've done this since we were 16 years old. We told our story. We said what we needed to say. And they were encouraged to say what they needed to say. And they were encouraged to talk about the adoption, to talk about how they feel about the adoption. They've been not only did they do this, but they were encouraged to do this. B&T should have looked for a closed adoption if they did not want an open one. They signed a legal document saying until Carly was 18, they would send pictures and videos. Yeah. And I do wonder if they're doing that. I wonder if, at minimum, if they are sending the pictures and videos twice a year. And they went on the cover of a magazine with both of their adopted kids. I think you're right. Yeah, they were like on People magazine. I know they were when Carly was like 10 years old, they've actually been on more than one. When Carly was like 10 years old, they went back to the reunion. Right. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. We really don't know. They've also had producers in their ears, and this has been their job as far as the show. So let's see. They were on like two reunions or maybe three. They were Lifelines with Carly, with the little boy. This is Bethany Christian Services, Lifelines, and then they were on People magazine. Didn't Kate post something about rotten in hell evil recently? I'm not aware of that. If she did, that was way too far. Especially if she was referring to Teresa. The live was in for context and how the agency is about making money. $188 million last year. Tyler isn't the only person saying this. Other bio parents have talked about this online. This is true. That specific adoption agency has had a lot of people speak out about them. They have. I did a video on it. Sunflower says they are protecting their daughter. I thought would be in T 100%. C and T need to step back until she's 18. This is just weird for them to do lives and posting texts. See, that upsets me that they would go to the reunions and know that all that information was on TV for millions of people about the visits. Brittany said Kate did say some out of pocket stuff, but I don't remember specifically what was said. Yes, they need to explain that they need to explain that they need to accept the decision or get a lawyer. Yes, that they need to accept the decision or get a lawyer. I know they are doing this so other people in their situation can learn, but they need to be real what the only two choices are. Yeah. It's me. Angie said they can exploit Carly, but they have a problem with CNT when CNT want to do it. Yes, she did post the rotten hell. Ooh, maybe I did know that. Was that when she said something like, if you really love me the way that you said you would love me, you would make time for me? I'm only asking for like one day out of a whole year. I don't remember that specific line, but I do remember her, like another post that she did not too long ago, where she said something like, if you really love me, you make time for people that you love. You said you loved us. Why can't you make at least one day out of a year? And the article is about nurturing 2 open adoptions. I think you did a lot about the title, Caitlin said, shocking message. Okay, thank you. See, maybe I covered it. I forgot. He said he welcomes a legal battle for Carly's adoption story. Why would both sets of parents battling legally be good to anyone? Right? It would not be good. Let's see. Tyler and Kate are still emotionally immature. They never had jobs and they got a college degree like they should have. They still can't put Carly first. Teen Mom ran its course years ago. They will be grandparents at this point if the show keeps continuing. True. I wonder if C and T and B and T could sue the adoption agency for some type of malpractice. I don't know. Um, they love that girl. They're not a threat, for goodness sake. They just want to talk about their daughter. There's a lot of toxic people that are wasting my time. There's a lot of good people in here too. They're saying wonderful things. Everything stays on the internet. And it was a TikTok video. Okay. Teresa's scared and jealous. It was a voiceover thing. They need to be respectful of B&T if they want it. If they want to talk to Carly. Yeah, Kelly. Yeah, do that. Yeah. Just don't, let's try to be respectful of other people's opinions. I wish we knew if Carly wants to talk to them or if it's affecting her mental health. We know nothing exactly. And that's where it's hard to kind of, if I knew, which is not my business, but I would have a better opinion if I knew this is what Carly wants, then I would say it's what Carly wants. Y'all leave her alone. And this is the reason why she wants it. Y'all did it to y'allself. Or if we knew, no, this is not what Carly wants. She has no idea that Caitlin's even been sending these text messages. She asks every once in a while, when am I going to see them? And they're like, oh, we don't know. Then I would be like, that's wrong. The agency has been sued for exactly what they did to C&T numerous times. I was going to say, I think they have been sued. And who knows what kind of problems Carly has at home because of this. True. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. I just thought that was a very in-depth live stream where he's talked more about the adoption and the situation with Brandon and Teresa and Carly than he ever has. Answered a lot of questions. Do you think it's the OnlyFans? What if they sue y'all? What if they get a restraining order? What if Carly comes to y'all when she's 18? I have his whole live stream up on my channel. We didn't watch all of it over here. Also, there was another video that if you go to Facebook and you go to the page Teen Mom Fans, they got a clip from the first one. Do you have a relationship with your ex now after you got a restraining order on him? Well, we got the restraining order and I did not talk to him for a while until he worked on his mental health. And whenever he started acting better, then yes. He called this morning, he talks to the kids, not as much as he should, but he's a little better, so let's see this video here. In this video, Team My Fans, this is a Facebook page if you guys want to. And he's not an ex-husband. We're never married to him. I've only been married one time, one and done to Sean. Okay. So on this video is where he says that the only thing that was legally binding was that they terminated their parental rights to Carly. The contract with Brandon and Teresa is not legally binding. He also talks about how Dawn, when you go through the process of adoption, you have so long where you can change the agreement. It was changed from semi-open to open. And that they asked, if Brandon and Teresa would be okay with this. Dawn told them, yes, they would be okay with this, that adoptive parents are prepared for this. They know that the bio parents have 30 days and they can change the agreement and that they are given resources to be able to, deal with that. He also talks about not knowing the last name or the address, that they did not know the last name until years down the road when they got like a Christmas card or something and it had the last name and they were like, oh, that's your last name. Anyways, you guys, yeah, they had a visit like last year or 2 years ago. It was the crap with April drinking at the visit. So she was either like 12, 13, or 14 at the last visit. I don't know. They should have gotten their own legal representation. Yes. Anyways, you guys, leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll probably do one more live stream because Cody Brown did an interview where he talked about Garrison, where he talked about his relationship with Garrison and how he's been doing since losing Garrison. So I think the next video that we're going to do today, in probably about an hour or so, we're going to go over Cody Brown's interview about his son Garrison. So you guys make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are interested in that. I see a lot of new people here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We keep up with Teen Mom. I have a lot of videos about Kate and Tyler regarding the adoption. I did a full deep dive into the adoption, and I have that video over on my channel. If you're interested in really learning out about the adoption agency that they used, let's see if I can find it. Okay, it's titled, let's see, Shocking Adoption Agency Kate and Tyler Used During First Pregnancy, Exposed for Horrible Actions. So if you guys, a lot of you new people in here, I'm sure you're here because you kind of keep up with Kate and Tyler, Teen Mom. That's a very interesting video to watch. It's a deep dive into the agency. It's shocking, some of the information. Also, I keep up with the Teen Mom cast. I keep up with Mama June. I keep up with 90 Day Fiance content, Sister Wives content. Sister Wives comes on this Sunday and probably Monday. I'll do a full recap. So all the new people here and all of my regulars, make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are really big into reality TV. That's what we do here. If you watch Sister Wives and this is the way that I always was. I would watch these shows and I really wanted to talk about it with somebody. Like I would see, watch the show and I'd be like, oh, Cody, blah, 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 or Amber, blah, blah, and I would talk to my husband about it and he'd be like, that's kind of how I started this channel with makeup, but quickly turned it into reality TV because I just had too much to say about it. So this is a community where we come together to talk about the episodes, talk about what's going on with the cast members. So if that's, what you're interested in, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. I am hoping to hit that before the end of the year. So please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out and join me back here in like an hour or so where we're going to cover Cody Brown's latest interview where he discusses losing his son at Garrison. So yeah, like, share, subscribe. Follow me on my other social media platforms, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.